Hello, I'm Jerry Crow with the Pacifica Historical Society and today's host of Footprints of Pacifica, the program where we explore and discover the lure and lore of lovely Pacifica, its character and its characters. The focus of today's show is our guest, Joan Levin, custodian of the Dollar radio station. We're anxious to get an update on the situation there, Joan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're pleased you've been able to join us. And the public, I'm sure, is anxious to know how things are developing there. Let's start with a little bit about just the location, because not all of our public knows that much about the situation.
Right. For the people who do not know, it's in the northern part of Pacifica on Palmetto, 100 Palmetto Avenue.
And how did Dollar Radio come into existence originally?
Well, Captain Dollar started up in Oregon with logging, lumber, and also when he got down to around California, he ended up with a passenger line called the Dollar Line. And he was very successful financially. At the beginning, he was not. I mean, came from, I say, poor to rich. When Captain Dollar died in 1932, he left $32 million behind. And even today, that is a lot of money.
Indeed. So, as I understand it, on the occasion of his expanding his steamship network, he needed a communication system.
Correct.
And this became the first private sector worldwide wireless communication system, I believe.
Right. It was for his primarily for his cargo, and then it went into the passenger line.
Mm-hmm.
And may I add, the most memorable event that ever happened in the Dollar Radio receiving station was when Admiral Byrd landed on the Antarctica.
And Little America in Antarctica.
Right.
Let's show some of the pictures there. Mm-hmm. First, this will be, I think you mentioned before, this is was the transmitting station.
Correct.
On the hill above somewhere. And also I'll follow that up very quickly with the full antenna array. And the receiving station would be down the hill, sort of in that
right,
part
this direction. For the people who live here and are familiar with this area, this is Edgemar. And then somewhere up on the hill was the transmitting station. Mm-hmm. And the two men who worked at both places hopefully are still alive. They were a year ago, and they were in their 80s. And if we can get our sewage problem solved, then they'll come down for one of the benefits and speak about exactly the location. We'll probably take a tour up there.
Oh, that'd be a very interesting occasion. Mm-hmm. And let's see, we have a couple of shots of the equipment.
Right.
Make sure I get them right side up.
Mm-hmm. That's
so, and this would have been part of what is the residence now, the property, as the remaining building is the receiving station plus some modifications that have gone on over the years, which we'll show after a while. There's another picture of someone tuning.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me for interjecting.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that is the receiving or the transmitting station, but they were identical, other than the bathroom area was flip-flopped. In other words,
the structures themselves.
Yes, instead of being on the right, the transmitting station bathroom was on the left.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd heard somebody, I think it was one of the guests we had at a historical society meeting that was held at that location, mentioned that the reason it became the connection with Little America was it was the best reception of any other radio system then existing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, so
good to know.
They had better connections than the military did at that point. And let's see, eventually it became Globe Radio, the firm, I guess, and that's a name that still exists. It's part of a communications complex that's headquartered in Manila, I believe.
Right, yes. So it's still in existence.
Yes. Well, how did you happen, how did you acquire it in the first place?
Well, in about 1977, we had a couple tragedies, so we came down the coast looking for a little pied-à-terre. It's not quite a pied-à-terre. And couldn't find anything within the relaxation of what we had in mind. And so when we came upon the Dollar radio station, it was absolutely breathtaking, even though it had not been finished at that point. But it was maybe 80% finished. What happened in 1950, they sold the property that the transmitting station stood on, and then the homes were built out, as you can see today, and that was on the hillside. And the receiving station, which is the Dollar radio, which is right on the coast, was then bought by two men who turned it to a residence.
And we have some photos of the building itself. Let's see, yes, this part is the original structure, I believe.
Right, and that's the back side of it.
Oh, okay.
It's all right.
And then
And that's
a more detailed shot.
closer.
And this is part of the interior, including Steve Brown
Ah, okay.
making a film of the interior at that point.
Right, these are pictures I've not seen.
Then this is the main workroom, I think.
This is called the courtyard.
Okay.
When the two men lived there, they were going to develop this into a reflecting pool. The one man had a heart problem, so he was going to swim every day. But unfortunately, he passed away before it was completed. And then because we had a couple tragedies, I decided to deck it and just make it a work area.
Yeah, it's a very attractive looking space.
Thank you.
And this, the entry to the...
This is the original doors, and they still exist today, walking into the Dollar radio.
Mm-hmm. And this one's definitely intriguing.
Right. The two men went ahead architecturally and did some beautiful work on decoration. And they went to Mexico for this tile work.
They designed the artwork themselves?
They had somebody do it,
Yeah,
but they worked with them.
And this, that's the courtyard again, I think.
Correct.
All right. A lot of plants there. So you
Well, I'm trying to eliminate some. I've been giving them away as exchange, Christmas, and presents if somebody gets ill. Need to cut down our plant inventory so we could have a speaker there instead of the plants.
Well, did you move in immediately on buying the place, or did it require some modification before you could do that?
Well, let's see. I am the kind of person that can work around construction, so we did have some work done there, and at the same time I ran an animal rescue out of that property for many years, and connected with the Peninsula Humane Society and did some volunteer work for them.
I see. Let's see. So that we've seen what the shape of the place was in. You've lived there for going on 30 years, and so let's. One of the big issues in Pacifica has been bluff erosion in many parts of the city, and that certainly is part of the story with Dollar Radio. So
you say that again.
Yeah, we'll take a look at some of the photographs having to do with that topic. But, first, I just want to show a little bit about was the Ocean Shore Railroad ran right along the bluffs there. That's the general appearance prior to 2009. And this doesn't show any particular remnant of the railroad, but we know that it ran through there.
Into the ocean.
Yeah, I guess there's some, just a picture of the beach with showing some of the slumping that has occurred with the action of the waves over the years. You don't see any particular detail there. According to our notes, evidence surfaces periodically that the track bed was made of rock, and every once in a while an old rusty rail or tie still surfaces down on the Esplanade Beach. And a portion of the title shows an easement from the railroad. The railroad, of course, has been inactive for since 1920, other than as a real estate activity. I got some more photos here of what the site looked like before the massive loss of the year 2009 and 10. That was a particularly severe case. This was the expanse between the structure and the edge of the bluff before the more recent losses. And if you want to describe I guess that would have been the front of the building if the other picture we had was the rear?
Right. Well, I call it the back. Some people call it the front because it does face the ocean, and it's the most picturesque.
Well, it's a marvelous view.
It was. It still is, I guess, if you like to be living on the edge, as they say.
Yes. And this is taken from below looking up at the bluff. You can see that it was steep and eroded even then, but the fact that there's ice plant growing at the base indicates that it had been stable for some time. And more, this is kind of the lower bluff. Occasionally pieces would be undermined and drop down onto the beach.
Right. I think people who live away from the ocean don't realize the seriousness of the erosion. Now, it's not only in Pacifica, it's worldwide.
Yes.
There was a French company came about a month or two ago, and they're doing a documentary on worldwide erosion.
Well,
so maybe we'll get a half-a-minute clip.
So there's some more evidence. Then this is, I guess that shows some effort to stabilize it.
Well, there was about 73 feet out from the deck to the bluff, and now there's 20. So to not be red tagged, we had stitch piers put in.
Oh, I see.
And that's the construction of what was the beginning of the stitch piers.
Oh, part of the process. Mm-hmm.
Right. So and the stitch piers were to secure the foundation for a limited time.
Mm-hmm. That was a considerable expense, I assume.
We need $1 million for a proper retrofit, and then $1 million around the property and inside the house. The property, as we mentioned earlier, was built in 1927, and the men bought it in the 50s. It has taken its toll, and I ran an animal rescue out of it, and so everything is very, very worn, and I'm even worn. So it needs refurbishing, and I would like to see if we could get our community in back of Dollar Radio so they could help us out to reestablish its beauty that it was in the 50s.
Yes, and we'll go into that in considerable detail in a few minutes. This is a little more of the view This is labeled upper middle. By that I mean, I guess it's the middle of your yard.
Yeah, at that time, I was doing some planting, and of course you could see I hadn't finished it. And then I had purchased these rocks, so we were going to plant in between the rocks and the retaining wall, where all that had to be taken away to establish the secured foundation work.
Mm-hmm. Then I guess that's more of the similar, shows the effort you'd gone to get that set up, that plan.
Well, somebody was out there photographing.
Yes. So this next set has to do with the repairs, and people, I think, will be amazed at the amount of work that had to be done. And so heavy equipment right in there next to the house itself.
Right.
And this was a part of placing those the stitch piers you spoke of?
Right. They're big, long columns go 44 feet deep, and that's just, as I said earlier, to secure the foundation for a limited time.
Mm-hmm. And this is another shot of that particular phase. So from the extent of the forms, it's obvious that a great deal of concrete was required, amongst other materials.
So if you have the engineering background, you could appreciate these photographs.
Well, even
A layperson?
The amount of work is really well revealed there. I'm sure that's something that will impress everybody with what was required to be done. Let's see. Then the bluff loss didn't stop. Then
Mother Nature at work.
And this shows the bluff from down below again. This was about Christmas time in the year 2010, the end of the year. And then the sheeting was to just stabilize the area close to the house at this point, I think.
Well, my coastal planner, Bart Willoughby, thought that perhaps it should be covered because any more rain and erosion, there might be some more slippage, and the waves could continue to undermine the bluff, and then there'd be more loss of land. But right now it looks very similar to this. We did have some of the right side of this picture lost. I have not had the time to go and take the plastic off and start planting, but we should be doing that soon, I hope.
It's a work in progress. All right, and so that brings us to, the previous photographs had to do with the work that went on at the level of the house itself, but a great deal more was required. So this is showing the equipment placing the heavy boulders called riprap at the bottom of the bluff to cushion the bluff from the action of the waves. And I think you had some help out from a neighboring property on that. Again,
I wish Bart had been here, because we need to really congratulate him for all his wonderful effort in getting the property owners of Land's End to donate these rocks. They have been marvelous to us because now they've extended a little more time for us to raise the money.
I see. So he's had connections and energy to bring about this, the reality of the plan.
Correct.
Okay, here's...
And he should be the one sitting here, not me.
Well, we'll make sure Bart Willoughby gets plenty of credit.
Okay, and then this is just another picture showing the work that was done. Some people think that putting rocks down, you can just lay the rocks on the sand, and that's it. but of course the waves would just take them away. So there's a lot of work that has to be done in laying riprap down
Proper
at
placement,
the beach.
very important. Yeah, and here's the finished result of that phase. So you wouldn't want to have to do that without heavy equipment for sure.
And good, strong men.
Yes, plenty of that kind of work. We see the extent of the challenge, and you began to discuss how you've proceeded to try to meet that challenge, and you've actually formed a nonprofit organization, and the proper title of that is Dollar Radio.
Dollar Radio, and I think there's a website which should be shown on the screen, and there it is.
Good, and
anybody wants to email me, especially a donation, it's always appreciated.
And the final goal is to restore this as a place that the public can enjoy. Is that correct?
Correct. They can call me now, make an appointment. I could show them the way it is now, just like the castle was years and years ago before they redecorated it. And so that can be, and the number to call is 650-359-4893.
And you've already had some, for over a period of time, some contributions coming in, and plenty more needed, but
right. Never enough.
You've got the structure all set to go, and everybody that donates is entitled to the deduction on their income tax.
Correct. I just want to say one thing. We don't have that many historical buildings in Pacifica. You know, we have the Sanchez Adobe, and we have the castle, and we have Dollar Radio. And we had the railroad, but, you know, that is gone now. So it would be really a marvelous idea as communities should work together to have people recognize that Dollar Radio is one of the foremost with the castle and the Sanchez Adobe. And so at this present time, any kind of contribution would be appreciated, and also help, volunteer help of any kind, picking weeds to sorting out paperwork. And nothing that would be, let's say, summa cum laude efforts. How's that?
And you have had some substantial assistance from other organizations. This is a copy of an ad that your organization ran in the Pacifica Tribune.
We wanted to thank those who did help contribute.
Yes, and that's obviously been substantial.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Do you want to say anything about the individual organizations while we're on the topic? Or?
Well, the most significant, as mentioned earlier, is Land's End, because we couldn't do it. I mean, the stitch piers were supposed to last 2 or 3 years. Well, that's gone now. And now the rocks, and we're getting more rocks from them, will help extend the life of Dollar Radio until we can really make a big dent in trying to stabilize it.
Mm-hmm. All right, we've got a few more photos of other parts of the building, since we have time.
They have a great photographer there.
Yeah, they covered a lot. This is work on the roof that was going on, I guess.
Okay. We had an advantage of putting on new roof material. We had some leaks, but you know, it's what I call a third world compound. And the reason I say that is that we wanted to improve the roof for the leaks, but also, again, I'm going to stress the sewage because we can't have a fundraiser until that's solved. And our lovely condo people next door do not want us to hook up with them. Where we're going to hook up, God only knows. And so the big effort too, besides the donation, is to let us know if the community would support helping us to further the negotiations with them.
Mm-hmm. Here's a little more of what the roofing looks like for those that are particularly interested in roofs. I'm looking through here to see if there's anything to do with the
that's before.
the ground, yeah. But that's the finished result?
Oh, no, that's the old roof.
Other part of the roof.
You can tell there's a little patch over here.
Okay.
I want to say, you didn't see the skylight. When we first moved in, I had a wonderful, wonderful carpenter who was more like an architect. So he actually designed and constructed the skylight, which is enormous. It's 30 by 40, and it opens up. And that is like this wonderful museum in New York, if you've ever been there. You can have lunch and you look up to the sky.
Well, that is marvelous.
Now there are many places around the world have skylights in a dining area. And so that's really the big focal point now of Dollar Radio is when you walk in. If I can only get the courtyard organized, then you have a breathtaking view of the sky and also of the courtyard.
It is over the courtyard part of the building,
right?
Yes, that we saw earlier. We've talked a little about the future plans and the organization. I want to show our audience the banner. That's on the fence on the outside of the property. So
we're trying to let the people know that we're here.
Definitely recognizable. So let's see. The website again is Dollar Radio Station Pacifica, all one word, .org. Donations of any amount, welcome, and they can call you if they have any interest in actual work on the property.
Helping me, donations, whatever. And if you want me to repeat the number again, and I just wanted to reiterate a little bit about community support, that we really need it. And I know that I'm inundated by what other people say is junk mail. I don't consider it really junk mail because there are lots of wonderful, wonderful organizations that need money for support. But here we are in Pacifica, and we are supposedly a supportive community. Well, let's show it.
Agreed. And yes, go ahead and recite your telephone number once again.
Okay, it's 650-359-4893.
Excellent. Well, that's about all the time we have today. I want to thank Joan Levin for joining us. And if you want to get involved with the Pacifica Historical Society on our many projects, our address is Post Office Box 752, Pacifica 94044. Our website is pacificahistory.org, and our telephone is 650-359-5462. Thanks for watching our show, and now we'd like to close with a quote from the poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints in the sands of time. Good.
You have lived, which is very good.